People see Dubai as a dream destination, but for many workers, it became something else entirely. Passports taken, movement restricted, long, punishing workdays, and in some cases, little or no pay. And once you're inside that system, getting out isn't easy. In this video, we're going to show you how it works, who's behind it, and why it continues to this day. To understand what is happening to 1.7 million people in Dubai, you first need to understand the city they live in. Because the city that exists in travel content and the city that exists in reality are two different places sharing the same coordinates. Dubai's total population is approximately 3.6 million people. Of those, roughly 400,000, about 11% are Emirati national citizens, the people this country was technically built for, the ones with full legal rights, guaranteed public sector employment, government housing subsidies, and a social contract that function. The remaining 89% are migrants, people who came from somewhere else, on terms set by someone else, whose right to remain is contingent on their usefulness to the economy. And within that 89%, there are two completely separate realities. Two cities layered on top of each other, never quite touching. The first city is the one you have seen. White-collar expats, finance professionals, technology executives, consultants, media workers, architects. They live in glass apartments in Dubai Marina, or downtown, or Jumeirah. Their employment contracts include annual flight allowances home. They have access to tribunals if they are wronged. They can quit their job and find another one without losing their visa status. They have leverage. They have options. If life in Dubai stops working for them, they leave. That choice costs them nothing. The second city is the one this video is about. Approximately 2.4 million blue-collar workers, of whom a documented 1.7 million are operating under passport confiscation at any given time. From India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, the Philippines, Ethiopia, and Egypt. Construction laborers, sanitation workers, delivery drivers, security guards, domestic helpers, hotel cleaners. They are the substrate of everything the first city calls a lifestyle. Every road in that first city was laid by someone in the second one. Every lobby was cleaned, every tower was raised, every hotel bed was made, and those two cities share almost nothing. Not neighborhoods, not restaurants, not bus routes, not legal protections, except the same skyline, viewed from completely different angles. One city has never had to think about the other, and the other city has never been given the option to stop. The mechanism that makes all of this possible has a name: kafala. And understanding it, really understanding how each piece connects to the next, is the only way to understand why 1.7 million passports are in drawers instead of pockets. Kafala is the Arabic word for sponsorship. And in the Gulf states, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, it is the legal framework that governs every migrant worker's relationship to the country they live in. Here's how it works. Not how governments describe it, how it actually works. When a blue-collar worker arrives in Dubai, their visa is not issued to them as a person. It is issued to their employer, their kafil, their sponsor. The worker is not a rights-bearing individual with a legal standing in the country. They are an extension of a commercial relationship. Their legal right to exist in the UAE is contingent entirely on that relationship remaining intact. This means several things. It means the worker cannot quit their job and find another one freely. They need their current employer's written approval to transfer sponsorship to a new employer. It means they cannot leave the country without an exit permit, a document that can only be issued by that same employer. It means that if the employer decides, for any reason or no reason at all, to cancel the worker's visa, the worker has 30 days to leave the country or become undocumented, which carries criminal penalties in the UAE. The employer, in this arrangement, holds every card, every single one. And then there is the passport. Passport confiscation is technically illegal under UAE law. It has been illegal since 2002. There are provisions in the UAE Penal Code that prohibit an employer from withholding an employee's travel documents. These laws exist. They are real. They are simply not enforced in any meaningful way in sectors where blue-collar workers are concentrated: construction, domestic work, hospitality, Sanitation. A 2020 investigation by the Business and Human Rights Resource Center found evidence of systematic passport confiscation across companies operating in the UAE's construction and hospitality sectors. A separate 2021 report by Amnesty International documented 30 workers from a single construction camp in Dubai who had not seen their passports in over 2 years. Every one of them knew, without being told directly, that asking for their passport back would result in the loss of their job, and with it, their visa, their housing, and their only source of income to service the debt they had incurred to get there in the first place. The debt is the third wall of the cage, and it is the one that receives the least attention. Workers from India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Pakistan do not appear in Dubai by accident. They are placed there by recruitment agencies in their home countries that charge between $1,500 and $4,000 per placement. That fee covers visa processing, flight, documentation, and the agency's profit margin. Families pay it by selling livestock, mortgaging land, borrowing from moneylenders at interest rates that would be illegal in most Western countries. So the worker arrives in Dubai, already owing, on average, the equivalent of 12 to 18 months of the salary they were promised in their contract. They arrive knowing that going home empty-handed is not merely a personal failure. It is the collapse of their family's financial security, the loss of land that has been in the family for generations, the destruction of the trust of every neighbor who contributed to the recruitment fund. So when the employer hands them a new contract, with lower wages, different conditions, fewer protections than the one they signed back home, they sign it. They have no choice. And when the supervisor takes their passport at the airport for processing, and the week becomes a month and the month becomes a year, they say nothing, because saying something means deportation. And deportation means going home with nothing to a family that has already lost everything to send them here. That is not a labor dispute. That is a trap built from debt, shame, distance, and paperwork. And it has been running continuously at industrial scale for 4 decades. Let us stop talking in systems. Let us talk about specific people, because the numbers become abstract at a certain scale, and abstract numbers do not wake you up at night. A construction worker who spoke on condition of absolute anonymity, we will call him by the first initial of his home district, R, arrived in Dubai from Rajasthan, India in 2019. He was 28 years old. His contract back home listed him as a skilled scaffolding supervisor, with a monthly salary of $420 and accommodation provided. His family took out a loan equivalent to $3,100 from 3 different sources to cover the recruitment agency fee and his flight. At Dubai International Airport, a site manager from his new employer met him and 4 other workers. He was told to hand over his passport for UAE entry registration. He did. 5 days later, still no passport. He asked a coworker, a man who had been on the site for 2 years. The coworker looked at him and said quietly, "Stop asking." The new contract that appeared a week after arrival listed him as a general laborer, not a supervisor, at $265 a month. When he raised the discrepancy, the site manager said the original contract was a recruitment document, not a final offer. When he asked for his passport to go home, the manager told him he owed the company $800 for his flight and visa processing, a fee that had never been mentioned, a fee that would now be deducted from his wages over 6 months. He could not leave. He could not stay without working. He could not work anywhere else. So he stayed. He mixed concrete in 47-degree heat, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, for $265 a month, sending $190 of it home every month to service the debt his family owed for sending him there. He kept $75 for food, phone credit, and whatever dignity he could afford at that price. He was not exceptional. He was not unlucky. He was the system working exactly as designed. A second account, from a woman we will call by the first letter of her home city, K, came from a province in the Philippines. She had applied through an agency in Manila for a domestic helper position in Dubai. $450 a month, 1 day off per week. her own room in the employer's apartment. She was 31. She had 2 children at home with her mother. She arrived to find a household of 7 people in a 4-bedroom apartment in Dira. Her own room was a converted storage space with no window and a mattress on the floor. Her one day off became half a day, then no day. Her passport was taken by the employer's wife on the first evening, for safekeeping, she was told. The salary arrived irregularly, sometimes $300, sometimes nothing, with deductions for food and electricity that were never specified in any contract she had signed. She had no camp to return to at night, no colleagues to whisper to. No door in that apartment she was allowed to lock from the inside. Not even the bathroom, because the employer's wife said she had stolen something once, which was not true. And from that point forward, no door for her was permitted to close completely. Domestic workers are the most invisible category within an already invisible population. They are excluded from UAE labor law entirely. Not technically, not partially, but entirely. The UAE labor law of 1980 and its 2016 successor explicitly exempt domestic workers from its protections. They are covered under a separate domestic workers law passed in 2017, which on paper includes minimum wage provisions, rest periods, and leave entitlements, and on the ground is enforced at approximately 0%, because enforcement requires a complaint. A complaint requires a witness. A witness requires someone willing to risk their visa, and no domestic worker in a private home has access to any of those things. After 11 months, Kay walked out. She waited until the family left for a weekend in Abu Dhabi, took nothing that was not hers, her phone, a photograph of her children, and walked for 3 hours through streets she had never been permitted to explore alone, until she reached the Philippine Overseas Labor Office shelter in Bur, Dubai. She arrived with no passport, no contract copy, no documentation of any kind, because none of those things had ever been in her possession. The shelter was full. She slept on a chair for 2 nights. She was one of 700 women who passed through that shelter in that quarter alone. A third account. A man from Nepal, we will call him by the letter M, worked on a site in Dubai South, one of the mega projects on the southern edge of the city. He had been in Dubai for 3 years. His passport had been returned to him after 18 months, after he threatened, very carefully, very quietly, to contact the Nepali embassy. He had his document back. He still could not leave. His salary had not been paid in 4 months. The Wage Protection System, the WPS, a government digital platform designed to ensure workers receive their salaries on time, had logged his payments as processed. The money had left the company's account. It had not arrived in his. Somewhere between the employer's system and his, $1,100 had vanished. Officially, he had been paid. Practically, he had not eaten a full meal in 9 days. When he went to the Ministry of Human Resources to file a complaint, he was told to return with documentation. He returned with documentation. He was told the case would take 60 to 90 days to process. He returned to the labor camp that evening to find that his employer had been notified of the complaint. Officially, this is not supposed to happen, and that he was being terminated for unsatisfactory performance. His visa was canceled 3 days later. He had 30 days to leave. His unpaid salary case was still open. He left. The case was closed as resolved 6 months later, with no record of payment and no one able to explain to whom or by what mechanism it had been resolved. The system has a complaints process. It simply does not have a consequences process. Those are 2 completely different things. Here is the statistic that should have been front-page news across every major publication in the world years ago. The UAE does not publish comprehensive disaggregated mortality data for migrant workers. There is no annual report from the government that says, this many construction workers died this year from these causes under these conditions. That data does not exist in the public domain. By design, what does exist? Between 2010 and 2020, the governments of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, the 5 largest sending countries for Gulf migrant workers, recorded a combined total of more than 10,000 deaths of their nationals working in the UAE and Qatar. In the majority of those cases, the listed cause of death on official certificates was one of three phrases: cardiac arrest, natural causes, or respiratory failure. Heat stress appears on almost none of them. Workplace accident appears on very few. The term labor-related death effectively does not exist in the administrative vocabulary of Gulf state mortality recording. A 2021 analysis published in the journal Global Health found that South Asian men working in the Gulf were dying at rates significantly higher than actuarial models would predict for men of their age and health profile. The excess mortality, deaths above what you would expect in a population of those demographics, pointed to environmental and occupational causes. The authors were careful in their language. The data was unambiguous. Construction workers in the UAE work on outdoor sites in temperatures that regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius between June and September. The UAE introduced a midday work ban, prohibiting outdoor labor between 12:30 and 3 p.m. in 2005. The ban applies only to those months. It does not apply to sites with overhead cover regardless of ambient temperature. It does not apply to workers moving between sites. Enforcement is periodic, not continuous, and a worker who refuses to work during prohibited hours risks being flagged to their employer as non-compliant, which, under kafala, carries consequences that extend well beyond a single shift. A labor rights monitor who spent 4 years on the ground in Dubai described what she witnessed at a camp in Al Quoz in 2019. A man had been brought back to the camp from a site in the back of a flatbed truck. He was unconscious. Other workers said he had collapsed mid-morning. The site supervisor had not called an ambulance. He had decided it was heat fatigue, not heat stroke, and that the camp's own medical assistant, a worker with basic first aid training and no equipment, could handle it. The man died that evening. The death certificate listed cardiac arrest. The company told every worker in the camp a single thing: this is not to be discussed. Nobody discussed it. Because discussing a co-worker's preventable death in a labor camp where your employer controls your visa, your housing, your food, and your passport is not a thing you survive professionally. And in Dubai, professionally and physically are the same word. The towers keep going up. The death certificates keep saying cardiac arrest. And the algorithm keeps serving you the skyline at golden hour, because that is what performs. If this is real, and it is real, every data point in this video is sourced and documented. Then the question you are sitting with right now is, why have I not heard more about this? Why is this not the dominant story every time Dubai appears in the news? The answer is not complicated. It is calculated, and it operates on 3 levels simultaneously. The first level is legal suppression. There is no free press in the UAE. The UAE ranked 155th out of 180 countries in the 2023 Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index. Journalists who attempt on-the-ground labor investigations face deportation and, in documented cases, detention under national security statutes that carry no timeline and no requirement for public disclosure. Workers themselves have no union rights. Forming a labor union is illegal. A WhatsApp group of construction workers comparing their salary deductions can be legally classified as an illegal assembly. Posting about your own working conditions on social media can result in prosecution under cybercrime laws that carry prison sentences before deportation. So the workers stay quiet, phones face down, voices low, and the ones who are not quiet disappear, transferred, terminated, or deported before anyone can ask them to repeat what they said. The second level is economic capture. Every major Western government trades freely and openly with the UAE. The United